welcome to this week's episode of our podcast, True Data Ops. I'm your host, Kent Graziano, the Data Warrior. Each week, we will bring you a podcast covering all things data ops with the people that are making data ops what it is today. My guest today is Miguel Morgado, a product owner at OneWeb. Miguel has been in the data hot seat for some time, and he's been using data ops to help deliver data to his organization. In other words, he has real world experience, and that's why we want to talk to him today. Welcome to the show, Miguel.
Thank you for inviting me.
So as we get started, Miguel, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your background, and then tell us a little bit about what OneWeb does.
Yeah, so let's start with the OneWeb part. It's more attractive probably. So the OneWeb is a global space-based connectivity network with headquarters here in London, enabling connectivity for governance, business, and communities. The partner I manage, or hub, the self-service data hub, provides a central organized store of data to enable collection of this same data from across the enterprise. We have a fleet of, at the moment, after the launch tomorrow, actually with SpaceX, will be 504 satellites, and we plan to build our Generation 1 constellation, which will have 648 satellites traveling at 27,000 kilometers around the 1,200 kilometers above the Earth. About my background, I've been working data from so many years. Started as a solution architect, project manager, program managing different companies as Airbus, as the UK Space Agency, managing projects for the European Space Agency, and most recently, managing the data products at OneWeb. I've done different, kinds of work around the data, from intelligence, from the analytics part. So I'm old enough to have done a couple of things now around data.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's pretty exciting that you're involved with, all this stuff in space. So we always used to say, it's not rocket science, but in your case, it is actually rocket science, right?
Yes.
You're dealing with things in space, and it's data in space, data coming from space, right? We talk about all these different sources of data we have today, and there's a new one for a lot of people. So data actually, you're dealing with data being beamed back to Earth. From space. So your title is product owner. Can you explain a little bit, what do you do as a product owner? What's the job of a product owner, at least at OneWeb?
Yeah, I think in OneWeb we see the job of product owners slightly different from, I think all companies, product owner means something different. So product owner in general way mean you are the voice of the customer. So you receive what actually your customers, internal and external, want to see in your products. The product I manage here is data. So what the customers want from the data we provide. In terms of my specific role, so I manage the data product. So we have this approach I see data as a product. That's why I say I'm a data product owner. Some people coming from office end of day, sorry about that.
Right.
So I manage the data, and so we know who are our producers, who are our consumers. So we create the different products around the data. So we monetize data. So data for us is a product. So I manage that product. That is the data.
Okay, so that, of course, begs the question, because there's a huge conversation all across the industry these days. What the heck is a data product really?
Yeah, so by definition, a data product is something that use data to achieve a goal, a end. In the case of OneWeb, data products mean or goals we want to achieve mean different ways, different things. So we have the API route, where provide API to our clients, a data API product, so our distribution partners, our customers can consume our data. We have the data in shape of visualization tools in Grafana, Power BI that are consumed internally and externally. And of course, we use Snowflake. We are a Snowflake powerhouse, and this data product is available in Snowflake UI, so it's another part of products. We are moving from the application world, and our main goal as OneWeb data product is serve our clients and monetize our data. I'm a total believer that these days all the CDOs or data product owners, or what you want to call, need to focus in data monetization. And for that, you need to have data with quality. You need probably embrace, probably because not necessarily a data mesh kind of implementation, and you need to have tools that facilitate that.
Yeah, and I guess especially when you start talking about monetizing the data, that's probably where it's a little easier to get your head wrapped around it, because we think about, going to Amazon or any online store, we put things in a shopping cart, and we think of those things as products. And when you're monetizing the data, you're doing that with a data set, or a data, what we might have called a data mart in the old days, right? And making that available for folks to purchase, for your customers to purchase. Are you using the Snowflake marketplace to do some of that?
So
do you build your own?
So the right answer is we use everything that is at our reach to monetize data and to make data available to users. Most of the time, the vehicle you use to deliver data is driven by the client requirements. So some clients want to have data in S3 buckets in AWS. Other clients want to, have the data streamed to their applications using API, SQL API using Snowflake. Others want to use marketplace. We are not yet on the generalistic marketplace of Snowflake, but we are running a POC with around a private marketplace because our data is really specific. So we need to, because of data compliance and security, we need to have a contract in place with these customers before you give them access to the data.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the private marketplace. We are not talking here in your typical 10 pounds, 100, 1,000 pounds kind of data sets we sell. We are talking about satellite data. Each one of our satellites costs $1.2 million. So we have like a big fleet then, so it's a big cost, and data generate this cost from satellites. So usually this has a negotiation up front about who can access data, how the data will be used, and so on. But the target is to make this data available in all means possible in an easy way to our clients, our customers, and Snowflake is the one of the key applications we use.
Okay, so I'll say you have quite a variety of delivery mechanisms you're dealing with, and you're trying to be, I'll say, agile in the way you approach it, and working with different customers. They may want it in a different form. So how are you using, applying data ops to make that a reality? That seems like this is where the data ops thing comes in, right? Is how do you deliver all those different variants of the data in different forms with different access mechanisms, and keep track of all of that? And you mentioned compliance and being compliant and secure, because some of this data is very sensitive. How are you leveraging data ops to do that?
So when you start this journey last year, March last year, 2021, was not 10 years ago. Our target was, since beginning, data monetization and using a data mesh. I know now it's very popular. Everyone talk about data mesh, but
Yeah.
we implemented already 1.5 years ago. We have around 33 Snowflake tenants, which we managed with DataOps. So DataOps is a key application because it allows us to manage. So the governance, security is really important in my world. So the DataOps allow us to manage all these tenants in a easy way, centralized way. So centralized governance, decentralized data storage. So, and was decided since day one that because our main target will be data monetization or make data accessible to our users, to them to derive value. So we don't store data. We don't do data because it's just like data. You do data because data has value. So quality was in our first priority. For that, you need to deal with data as you deal with code. So you need to manage two different environments, dev, QA, and production. So that where DataOps start be a perfect fit, allow us to manage data as we manage code, change all these steps, all these gates where the data move from dev, QA, and prod. The data quality where the data is tested. So we don't ingest bad data. So all the data is perfect data, quality data. In some conference I attend, people from other companies talk about multi-levels of quality. In their data, our data just have one quality, this good one. And that is shared across our 33 tenants. And then the data is correlated, is merged, joined, extra value from the external data sets come to play, for example, weather data, and then this data is monetized, is available to our internal and external customers, if you want.
Yeah. So when we talk about doing all this, it's not just technology, and in this case, you're talking about DataOps.live, the platform you're using to help deliver this on Snowflake. But you've got people, you've got processes, and you've got technology. Which of those were the biggest barriers for you guys to be successful? And on converse, which was the best enabler for the success as you went through this this journey that you all did to get to where you are today?
I don't say it was a struggle, any of these in our implementations, but because we are being implemented data mesh, the key point of data mesh is not technology or process, it's people. So we have people that produce data, we have people that transform data, we have people that consume data, we have people that share data. So a data mesh is a cultural shift. So we have been lucky because since day zero, our target was to align with this cultural shift. So we don't add the problems most of companies are facing, that they need to change their culture, the data culture, all they change, share the data, who access data, or they monetize data. So was always planned from day zero. So it was, I don't say, was not a complex thing to do, but we need lots of people minds to align with this new cultural change, which is doing a data mesh. So probably I'll say work around the people, and all the people trust each other when the data is shared, and that the process in place around governance and security, again, where DataOps.live is really important to assure when the data is shared with right roles, and the right people just have access to right data. the anonymization of data that's, for example, contain PII data. That is probably the main aspect of implementation of a data mesh and the OneWeb specific case. Of course, you need to have the right tools as well. So answer to your question is all the three are important. It's not like one is important. All three are important. Have the right tools, the right stack. So we use AWS, DataOps, Data.World, Snowflake, Grafana, and Power BI in the other end. So have the right stack. A lean stack is really important. Of course, have the right process in place, using the best practice in the business is important as well.
Yeah, and so none of these were really problems for you at OneWeb. That it all moved along, but somewhere along the line you had to figure out what the right data, what the right stack of data tools was,
yes,
and the right processes around that. And that's kind of where I'll say that the philosophy, at least, of DataOps fits into that category of, you talked about testing and talked about governance. And those are some of the pillars of the true DataOps philosophy. So you had to have people in agreement that they were going to do that. And then, but the big one really, though, as you said, is really the culture around the people, to get everyone aligned in what's our mission, what's our goal, how are we going to do this, how does data mesh fit into this, right? I assume somewhere along the line you had to educate people about what a data product is, right? That that's what we're going to build. So we're going to build data products. So it's all important. And it sounds like you had a good experience in trying to do this. How long did it take you as an organization to kind of get to the point where you really started hitting your stride on being productive with all of these things, with data mesh and data ops and Snowflake? A lot of people, get the idea that, if we pick a tool or we pick a methodology that is like, okay, we're going to be instantly successful. And of course, you and I both know that's not true. So like from your experience, what was the ramp up time to get people to where you were really kind of cranking on quality data and data products?
Again, this is sometimes it's hard to believe because we ingest 55 billion rows of data each day. So it's lots of data. So data came from satellites, from gateways, near live, real time, and then it's ingested. And ingested don't have any value, as you know. It's no value, but then it transforms data where it creates value. And this data make way to our users. So, sorry, your question was?
How long did it take you to get ramp up? Yeah.
So we have all this amount of data coming daily, and you think it will take a lot to these guys to have 33 tenants, in place, and data sharing and all this data, control and governance. In reality, the reality and true is took us 4 weeks, 4 weeks to come from POC to production to deliver value. And that is the key word. I'm not come from POC to production. I came from POC to delivering high value in 4 weeks because I had the right stack. DataOps, Snowflake, the Grafana, the Data.World, 4 weeks. And having the right tools that allow you to deliver at this pace is really important. Other important aspect, I'll shock the audience, is I've done all that with 7 people. It was not an army of developers. Wow. It's 7 people. Sometimes I talk with some colleagues, they say I have 15 Power BI developers, X number of data engineers. I have 7 people. And we all in a self-server kind of approach to all our internal and external customers. So here we go. And after 1 year, we have 33 Snowflake tenants sharing data seamless between them.
Wow, that's incredible. So again, you had the right data stack in place, right? You had the right tools in place. And from there, it was POC to production of quality data and a data product in 4 weeks, which, I mean, that's agile, right? And I mean, we used to take 4 years to deliver anything in the data warehousing world. So I think that's that is a good metric there for people to look at. It's like not everybody will be able to achieve that. But how long did it take you to settle on the right data stack? Maybe that's a better question. So people to think about, maybe you've got a great data stack and an architecture there. People might want to think about adopting what you have to shortcut the front end part to get to being able to do the production and be agile in delivering data products a little faster, because there had to be a little ramp up time there in figuring out, that you wanted to use DataOps, that you wanted to use Snowflake and all of that.
Yeah, it took us a while, but so the DataOps Snowflake was a quick win. We could see clear in a couple of days that that was the way to go. Was simple to implement, deliver value. But you are right. It was other parts of stack, for example, Grafana. In our case, is the best fit. But I don't know. I cannot say will fit all the companies these visualization tools, because we use lots of time series data was
right.
best fit. But we use Power BI. So we test Power BI for a couple of men. We still have Power BI. But clearly Grafana was the visualization tool that move us forward. We tested Tableau. We tested other applications. Same for data cataloging. It's important. All these data need to be cataloged. So can users, especially in the data mesh, is important to have all the data catalog, because not all the users have access to all the data, and they need to be aware the data exists in other tenants where the request access knows information. So the fact we was able to do a easy integration with DataOps and Data.World, the enterprise data catalog we use currently, was really key. And our data engineers just catalog data once when we ingest first time, and then the data flow to Data.World. It's all cataloged all automatically. So you don't have duplication of work. We don't have duplication of costs. The data lineage is, came from Snowflake to DataOps and Power BI, like Grafana, to Data.World. Is all there in place. We are all friends. If you want, all these applications, they are all friends. Mm-hmm. All work well. It's just tech that actually works. It's the best way to describe it. It just works.
Yeah, that's kind of key. So, do you think a lot of this in the data ops world, there's a lot of automation? Do you think that you would be able to be this successful this quickly if you weren't using tools that allowed you to automate these workflows and all the governance, everything that encompassed in data ops? Is it possible to get that kind of success if you're just trying to put it together yourself?
Everything is possible to put together. Either different. Give me the money and time, and I'll do it in the way you want. But if you want to go quick, if you have a limit budget, and if you want to show early value, that is something I say to all the people that work to my team. Show early value in everything you do. And this is important as well when you have a vision to deliver such products. So we have a vision we had a vision to deliver the project, and we delivered. But it's important to show the value of that vision early than later. Because, with all this process, we burn money. Yeah. And money means you are accounted for that money, for that expense, and you need to report someone. So it's better when you report, you show value. But if since beginning you start showing value earlier, then it's easier to justify the continuous investment on that product I've seen lots of case in other companies when the value is not shown so early as expected, and at some point is a recession, is a problem, is a war, and then they get cut. So it's important to show value early than later, and that the DataOps allow us to be agile and show this value early. Same with Snowflake and data.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. It's like that's really what we're striving for, is to show value from the data, and the quickest way to do that is use stuff that already works, that works. Like you say it just works. That's something that we say at Snowflake all the time. Customers are always saying, yeah, it just works. And no setup, we log in, and like you said, in a couple of hours you're doing stuff. That's awesome. So slightly off, different topic here, just for as we close out today, is, Miguel, if you weren't doing data, what would you be doing?
Probably, I'll be a farmer or something, because I come from a farmer background. But I tell you, we all use data, directly or indirectly. We all do data. We just don't know. We use data to, any decision you take any minute is always based in some information. And some data is at our reach. So, answer to your question, if you like the type of questions, what you do if you don't, will be someone managing data, probably a farmer. But, I think if was professionally, if I was not doing data, will be something around the data anyway, because we all use data. We are all salesmen, because we all sell something, and we all work with data, one way or other.
That's so true. So true. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap for today. Thanks really for being my guest, Miguel. It's been great to catch up with you. It's been, a few months since you and I have talked. So really enjoyed having you on the show today. Thanks to everyone else for joining in. Be sure to join us again next week, where my guest will be author, speaker, and podcaster Joe Rice, the CEO of Ternary Data. And Joe and I are going to be talking about his experience helping folks become more data-driven, and where he sees data ops fitting into this bigger picture. So that's it for this week. See you next week, everyone.